Google Slides is a great way to create content and share it in Google Classroom, but sometimes we run into an issue where a video or audio file has been attached or inserted to that slides file, and when that gets posted to the classroom, the students can't actually access the video. That is just due to permissions in Google Drive, and we can fix that pretty quickly in a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you how to make a contact list that will do this for you so you can quickly share with your students. So let's take a look at Classroom here for a moment. When I'm in Classroom and I want to see all of my students, I can come up to the People page and get a list of them down here. I've got a couple sort of mock students in my pretend classroom here that I'll use for this example. Now, even before I carry on, one option I definitely would have is to go to Class Work, hit Create, and just add the additional video files or audio files as material. So they're not attached to a particular assignment, but it means when the student opens the slides file that they're connected to, the video is already shared with that group automatically. So this would be one way to quickly jump in there and add the video files and such that you want to add. But it's quite possible that maybe you've got a huge series of them, you want to share a whole folder possibly with students, or you just don't want to have to add all of those as content, as material to the actual classroom because it gets a little bit cluttered. So here on the People panel, what I'm going to be doing is coming to the students list and hitting a little checkbox, going to my Actions menu, and then choosing the email option because I need to get a list of all these email addresses for all the students. So I hit email. It's going to open up a new tab for me and spin up an empty email with all of those addresses in the BCC line. So I need to copy them. I'm going to click into this BCC line here, and then I'm going to use Control A to select everything and Control C to copy it. So again, that's Control and A to select all, and then it's Control plus C to do my copy. And shortly I'm going to end up using Control V right next to it for paste. So those are my shortcuts. Control A to select, Control C to copy, and eventually Control V to paste. So I've just copied the two addresses in this case. If it was your class, you're going to have 20, 25, 30 students in there. And I'm done with this section. That's all I wanted to do was copy those names. So I can actually just trash this email, get rid of him, and I'm back in my classroom here. Well, what I need to do is go to contacts. So I'm going to use the cluster of dots up in the corner, and this is available from all of your different Google pages. Just happens to also be available here in Classroom, and I'm going to jump down to contacts. And from my contacts, I need to create what Google calls labels. We might call them a Google email list or a contact group. They call them labels. So that's what I'm running with. We're going to go ahead and create a contact. And we're going to create one for multiple contacts since I just copied multiple addresses. I'm going to go up to this no label option because I actually do want a label. I'm going to hit it. And since I don't have one already, I will create a new label. I'll call it, I don't know, Classroom 2022. And then right here where it says add names and email addresses, I click. Now I can right click and use paste, and you'll even see on the menu here, it's reminding us again, Control V is my shortcut for paste. I'm going to use the right click menu this time. Hit the paste, and it will drop in the 2, 12, 20, or 200 names that you may have copied, depending on where you got your names from. And I'll go ahead and say create. That will create for me this brand new Classroom 2022 label that has all of my students from Classroom in it. Well, that means I can now go to my drive. I'll use the dots again, jump to drive, and maybe I created something in, say, WeVideo. Maybe that's where my videos came from that I ended up embedding in my slideshow. So there's, of course, a WeVideo folder down here that it creates every time you export videos. I'll just grab the first one. Well, that's already shared technically. I'll grab one of these other ones here as an example. I guess it doesn't really matter if they're shared already or not. I'll just right click, choose share, and because I made that label with all those extra names, I'm going to be able to go ahead and say classroom, and there it's popping up for me already, 2022. Click it, and there's the two students that I have in my classroom. I wouldn't need to notify them of anything, and in this case, I only need them to view that file because they're going to view it inside of a slideshow. So with those added in there, I can go ahead and say share. That's going to take care of that. And now back in Classroom, if I have posted some classwork that includes a Google Slide and those videos are embedded, the students will now have access to that and be able to get to that information and won't have any grief in trying to access those files and view them inside your slideshow. So that's a couple of ways, both material and using contact labels, to share files with a large group of students all at once.